Welcome to this video. If you are viewing this video, that means you want to learn the full functionality of a multimeter and you're in the right place, because in this video I'm going to teach you how to use a multimeter, starting from the meaning to the types and to the functionality, all the functions of a multimeter. Not just that, I'm going to use a multimeter and test some components to see and to know exactly what to do when you have any problem and you have a multimeter. Trust me, a multimeter is a lifesaver because it helps us in solving a whole lot of problems as a phone repair or as engineers. Alright, so I'm going to start from the meaning. A multimeter is a device that helps us to read the flow of electricity, current, and also to know how much a component to resist or allow passage of electricity. It also helps us to test some components. In this video I'm going to do all of those, so if you're watching this video, please do well to watch from the beginning to the end. Then you have the full knowledge of a multimeter. Not just that, you'll be able to use a multimeter to test components and to troubleshoot and to find solution as an engineer. Alright, let's go. Now we have different type of multimeter. The analog from the screen, you can see this is an analog. In case you see it anywhere, this is an analog, and this is example of digital, just like the one that I'm holding right now. And you can see that we have different other types. Even though it is also digital, the major differences are the functionality, how fast some of them can pick current, how accurate they are, and also the durability and how long the batteries can last before you change them, and the rest like that. And some of them have inbuilt light display, which this one doesn't have. But this multimeter is one of the cheapest and multimeter that is also very good and also work accurately. So let's proceed. Alright, let's start from the display. You can have the display, the maximum amount of display is three numbers. So we have these dots to separate the unit from 10 and 1000. Alright, I believe you understand that already. Now the battery here in this corner symbolizes that the battery is low and needs to be changed, and inside this multimeter is a 9 voltage battery. So even if you are an engineer or a student, it will be very important for you to know the voltage and the current of every component before and after you use a multimeter. It's very important. But in this video I'm going to be giving us some brief examples and the voltage they carry, the components I'm going to be using. Okay, so let's proceed to the first thing on the multimeter, which is the power. We know what the power does already. I don't want to go far on that. So the hold button, this helps us to freeze reading. When we are having a reading and the reading is not stable, we can use this hold to freeze it. Then we can be able to hold on until we release the button before the number changes, if it is no longer in contact. Okay, now let's move to this. I'm going to be explaining this for us. This you're seeing right here very well. So just take your time. Please like the video and subscribe. Thank you. Alright, let's start from this V and this straight line and this dot. If you are a beginner, you might not know what this is, but if you are not a beginner, I believe you know what this is already. This right here, this symbol, this V and this straight line and this three dots. Sometimes it could be V and a straight line or V and three dots. They all means direct voltage. Yes, direct voltage. And when we're talking about the direct voltage, it's talking about a voltage that is not harmful, a voltage that is small inside a component like this. Inside a component like this, that is the voltage. The voltage inside the current inside your battery, the amount of electric charge inside your battery is the voltage. So if you want to measure anything like this, okay, thank God I have another thing here. This is also a battery, as you can see. You can also measure the. Now let me bring it down to a very simple meaning. Let's say we have a container that has water inside. If we want to know the amount of water inside that container, because we can't see it with our naked eyes, we use this to measure them. Okay, so this is what we use to measure in current, in voltage. Yes, in voltage, this is what we measure in voltage. Now let's look at an example very briefly. Now this battery, on it they wrote 3 volts on this battery. You might not be able to see it, but they wrote 3 volts on this battery. Now these 3 volts, I want to know if it is 3 volts or not. Now to know if this is a 3 volts, all of these numbers here symbolizes the level of volts you want to measure. These 2 symbolizes 2 and below, that is might be 1, might be 0.5, 0.2 to 2 voltage. Anything above 2 voltage is not recommendable to use this. So except you are so smart to use this, else you're going to use 20. Now to use this 20, meaning you are reading from 20 volts below, 200 volts below, 1000 and below. Let me set examples. Our wristwatch battery might have below 2 and 2 volts. Our wristwatch or our wall clock might have 2 and below, which is very low amount of voltage. Then this 20 is example of this 20 could be this battery, this cell, this phone battery, or this type of battery. Could be inside a laptop or could be inside a power bank. Yes, those are the batteries, or those are the they are the components that has between 0 and 20 volts. So this battery, as an engineer, I believe you know the volts that this carries to be something between 3.7 and 4.5. Yes, that is what this battery is carrying, between 3.7 and 4. So anything below 3.7 on this battery is a bit low and it might not work properly. Same as this battery. So most of the phone battery, most of the mobile phone battery is like that. Now let's look at this battery. This battery is rating 3.85 volts, meaning that this container can contain 3.85 voltage, and the limit charge voltage, that is the amount of charge this thing can contain, that is the alternate amount of current this thing can contain is 4.4 volts. The amount of charge that this thing can contain is 4.4 volts when you are charging it. That is the meaning. All right, now let's look at now when you want to measure something in 200, that means you are measuring things like maybe a car battery or a truck battery, something that carries a little higher voltage, amount of voltage. That is when you are using this 200 right here. So when you put it in this 20 and you carry a phone, a battery that is below 20, yes, like this, you are going to carry your probes, because this is what we call a probes. These are probes. This is a negative and positive, though 2 of them are actually the same. They work the same work, except the fact that you have plugged them. That's when it becomes different. So this ground, this is what we call COM. This one, we connect this one to the COM, and it also means ground. Ground is mostly negative, so that is why we plug it here. Okay, and this is the voltage and the resistor. If you want to measure resistor, then you are going to put your positive here. But whether you put positive here or negative here, they serve the work of wherever you plugged. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. All right. So now, before I try and go there, let me move to the next thing. All right. So I'm going to move to this volts, but this one instead is not carrying the sign of a direct. This one is carrying a line that is wave, a line that is not straight. Yes, if you can see very well, the line is not straight, but this one line is straight, which means this one passes in a straight line and in one direction. But this one, which is V, and this one is not straight, is going in and out in different directions. That is the meaning of this line here. Okay, and now what do we measure when we are here? That is, maybe when we decide to move this to one of these, what are we going to be using it for? That is what I want to explain next now. Alright, so if we want to measure this, we are going to be measuring something like a current from our wall socket. You want to measure the amount of current flowing in your socket, probably to your charger, to your fan, to your stabilizer and the rest. This is what we use. Mind you, if you want to measure a voltage on a wall socket, you should not be expecting to put your readings below 200. It is not recommendable to put below, because most of the voltage of the charge that comes from the socket are mostly above 200 or slightly below 200. Else, it is not going to be, it might blow your multimeter or probably cause harm to you. So I would advise, if you don't know how to use this, watch this video very well, because I'm going to do an example of this in this video. Before I get there, let me start by reading from this direct, then we go to the alternate. Yes, so let's try something on that. Alright, so watch as I'm doing it. So I plug the positive to this here, then I plug the negative this to this COM, which is the ground. Yes, now as I plug this, there's possibility this begin to flow, because there could be current flow in the here. Yes, so there is possibility, so don't mind that. Yes, and this negative sign you are seeing here means is reading a negative in opposite direction, or in negative. That's when you're having negative. All right, I will still get there. All right, I don't want to rush also. I want to start from here. So let's start from this. Now I want to read a battery that is between 3 point something, but it's above 2. It's above 2, which is an example of that battery is this. So if I put this on one of these and I put this in this other contact, you can see the reading. I don't know if you can see the screen. Yes, you can see the reading right here coming. Yes, you can see this reading. This is 2.9, between 2.96 and 7. Now, if you find this kind of reading on a battery, that means that phone can never on. This battery is not charged. The lowest this battery can be to power a phone is 3 points. Let's just say 3.5 is the lowest to power a phone. So if a phone is not booting as an engineer, and you measure the battery, and the battery is giving you something like this, know that the battery is not working. So that is one of the ways to troubleshoot. Right now, this one is a battery from a power bank. So if I want to measure this, maybe the power bank is not working, and I put this here, which is the negative, and I put this in the positive, and I'm reading this, which is 3.2. yes, between 3.22 and 3.23. that means you have to wait and see the reading well before you remove your probes. So this is 3.2, which means this battery is okay, but it's not charged. The battery is okay, but it's not well charged, which means the battery is good. You just need to charge the battery. Can you understand this? This is very, very simple. Very, very simple. Okay? Now, let's proceed. Now, in this case, I want to test. I don't have a battery of a car or anything around here. I would have tested. You will see the readings too, and it will be good. You will know if you are having the right voltage or not. Now, if I want to measure from a socket where there is light, I need to be very careful, because the voltage should, if the voltage is above 200, then I can put it in 7. Even if it is not up to 200, I can still put it in 750 to know accurate reading. So I'm going to show us an example right now. Alright, one good thing about a multimeter is whether you use the negative probe or the positive probe, anywhere you insert it, it will still work. Else, if it is not a multimeter, it would have, there will be a wrong connection. But in a multimeter, you can rather have minus, that is, the negative is in the positive is in the negative, but it will not affect the multimeter. Alright, let's just put it in. So it is in 750, which is, there is no voltage that can be above 750 from this socket, else everything would have blown. So let's put it in. So from the screen you can see 240, between 240 and 250. Yes, the reading might not be very accurate, might be going up and down because the flow of electricity is, this is an alternate current, so it can be going up and down. That's what I said the other time, that if you look at the symbol right here, it's flowing, which means it's going up and down, so it might not be stable as well. It might be going up and down, as you can see. So that is an alternate current. So if you are working with a voltage like this, you can always put your multimeter on this 750 and use your probes and contact the light. You can always see the readings on the multimeter. I hope you understand that. Okay, let me chip this in. Let me chip another thing in. I want us to look at. Alright, this is a charger now. So I am going to connect. I've already connected the cord like this. I want to know if this charger is bringing out correct voltage, which says 5 voltage. That is the amount of voltage entering the battery from this, entering the phone from this. So that is what this 00 is. So when this 00 increases, it means the phone is sucking, or there is flow of a current from this into the phone. So this now, I want to check the voltage. It's the voltage I want to check anyways. So I'm going to check the voltage. So let me connect this. I need to put this on, you can see. So I am putting this here, this 20, which is between 20 and 0, which is 5 is, 5 is there. So I can check it now. Sorry, I'm trying to show us. Okay. Alright, so as you can see from the multimeter, you can see 5.8, between 5.88 and 5.89. It's even very precise now, 5.89, which means the voltage passing from this charger to the phone, if I plug my phone from this charger now, it will be giving my phone 5.8 voltage. But it has approximated to 5 on the screen here, charging speed and storage speed. So I hope we understand that. So let's go back to the multimeter. So we're back to multimeter now. Let's go to this side. Let's come to this side. In this video, let's come to this side. Alright, this helps us to read a transistor or some other components. This is what we use to read if a transistor is passing the right voltage or not. So if you put it here, you can put your transistor, the legs in your transistor, into these holes here, and it will give you a reading. And if you have been taught how to read a transistor, you should be able to see if the transistor is reading right or not, or some other component that has legs. This is what they use. This is PNP and NPN. If you know how to use it, that is the function of this. So you can always increase it. If it is a transistor that has between 20 and below, that the capacity is between 20 and below, it will work here. This 202 Newton to up to 200 Newton if you want to measure Newton. So now let's go to this port right here. I want to quickly talk about the ports. So this port, which is from the sign you can see here, the maximum voltage that this thing can read is 1000. Yes, 1000, and for the alternate is 750. The maximum for volts for store the electric store inside a component or inside a container is maximum of 1000. That's what this multimeter can read. And for alternate, which is a current from a wall socket, is highest of 750 for this positive side, this voltage. Now this other one here, this symbol here means milliamps. So these ports can measure up to, from here you can see this is fused, it can measure up to 500 milliamps highest, and this means this place is fused, protected. This place is protected. That is, if you plug it on a voltage that is around this and anything goes wrong, it's going to cut a fuse inside this multimeter, and it will stop it from damaging your multimeter or damaging or causing harm. Now that is 500 milliamps at the highest. Yes, the highest is 500 milliamps. Now this other one here, which is this last one, from up here you can see 20 amps. If you see 20 amps, it means the amount of current that flows. This is a very powerful flow of current. This is a very powerful flow of current. So if you want to measure a very high flow of current, we use this one, and it's unfused. Now in this case, one needs to be very careful. One needs to be very careful if you want to use this unfused, because you can, if you are plugging it here now and you contact this with that heavy current, you should test it within 10 seconds in 15 minutes. Contact in 10 seconds in 15 minutes. That is the meaning of this, and it's usually used for a very high voltage. Mind you, it is not fused except you connect fuse here. It is not fused, which means it is not safe if you are not a professional. So if you are only working as a phone repair, or you work with little gadgets, you work with little or low electronics that doesn't consume high voltage, it is always recommended to use either your normal voltage here. This one will help you to measure the voltage, measure your alternate current, your direct current, and your resistors. And this one will help you to measure in a protected 500 milliamps highest capacity. This one will help you to measure a higher one, but it is not safe for anyone that is not professional. So I have tried to explain a lot on this multimeter. If you have any question, please drop on the comment section. I will be willing to answer them, and I will be willing to help you out through it. So now let's go to this one here. This we call boost mode or continuity. This right here, we call it boost mode or continuity. This is a very useful function on a multimeter. A very useful function. Why? What does it do? The boost mode helps us to know if a device is connected or not, if a line is connected or not. Let's take for instance, I want to measure from the edge of this thing to the end. I want to know from the edge here to the end here if there is a connection, if something connects them together. With the help of this boost mode, I will be able to know. Why? Because anytime there is a contact like this, there will be a beep sign. Anytime there is a contact like this, there will be a beep sign. And once there is a beep sign, it means there is something connecting. Now let's take for instance, I am carrying something that is conductive. I believe we know what a conductor means. Something that connects electricity, something that conducts electricity. And I try to connect, I'm trying to look for one around, something that connects electricity. Now let me just use this. Sorry, this is not part of my plan. Now this now is a metal, so I want to know if this conducts electricity. I can easily use this in this, connect here and test the other side here. You can see it beeps. It means there is a connection there is a flow of electricity. So it helps me to understand that. Now on a board like this, if you want to know if there is a flow of electricity from one place to another, from one side to another, this boost mode is what helps us to know if there is short or not. That is what a short means. When there is a short in connection, when something has broken, a connection has broken, that is a short. And that is what helps us to locate the shorts on the motherboard. That's an advance for this. If you want that, you can also message me. I'll teach you how to troubleshoot using this boost mode on the motherboard. Okay, now let's talk about another function of the boost mode. This boost mode also helps us to test some components that doesn't have high voltage. Let's take for instance the bulbs on this laptop backlight. The bulbs, I want to know if all the bulbs are working. If I want to know this boost mode, once I connect this boost mode to the two terminals of this bulb, it will show if the bulb is not heavy, it doesn't consume heavy voltage, it will light up the bulb, which will help me to know, oh, this bulb is working, this bulb is not. And also, if you want to test if the speaker is working, you can easily use this because there is a flow of electricity in this thing to help you and confirm that. Okay, so also this boost mode is what we use to measure the flow of electricity or flow of charge in some components. I'm trying to show us the components. Let me see if I can see something. Okay, I think I can find some capacitor here, though they are very small. Okay, this right here on my hand are capacitors, though they are very small. These are phone capacitors, so it might be very small. If I want to test if this capacitor is working or not, if I want to test if it's working, what do I mean by working? If it is not short, if it is not leaked, meaning that sometimes capacitors spoil due to there is a connection between the two sides of the capacitor, which means it has linked the flow of electricity, which might spoil or which might make components not work again, like a motherboard like this. If some components like a capacitor and the capacitor is, this will help us to locate it by putting it in the two terminals. If you put it at the two edge, then this thing will beep. If it beeps, then it shows that the capacitor has spoiled or is no longer working well. Mind you, this is not applicable to all capacitors and not on all components like this. So some capacitor might beep when you touch it. You need advanced knowledge to know what is wrong in that aspect. But on the common side, you might want to look at is if a capacitor that is small, most capacitors, and you touch it with the two sides with this and it beeps, it mostly means the capacitor is faulty. So I hope you understand all this. Now in the next video that I'll be making, I'm going to be using a multimeter to do a more deep troubleshoot and to use it and fix some things. So I want you to subscribe if you like this video. If you like the explanation, please like and comment. Thank you.